Now, many of you may be wondering what this is on the screen. To be honest, I'm not really sure what it is either. But I remember I drew this piece on September 5th, 2012, and this was the day that my family had no money to pay our month's rent. My parents were pretty much yelling at each other, cursing and stuff, and like that would solve our problem. And I remember I was really scared that we'd become homeless. We were all frightened. We feared eviction, and my mom asked me to look up nearby Section 8 housing, which is housing and assistance for the homeless. And instead, I went to my room and I created this. Creating this really helped me kind of enter a world where there is no law, logic, money, or reason. It helped me enter the world of imagination. The TED Talk I'm presenting today will be on nonsense. But what is nonsense? Nonsense is something that has or makes no sense. I personally enjoy nonsense. Nonsense really helps me compete with the minds of others around me, and it's helped me. It helped me a lot through a lot of situations, and it's been a virtue to me. However, a lot of people look at it and as something that's not important, or they don't have talent at all. But it's really helped me through my life. Growing up, my family my family moved a lot. We went from apartment to apartment, and life would be really hectic. I never had a chance to ever go to Disneyland, Universal Studios, SeaWorld, and really nowhere. I didn't really go anywhere at all. I was just sitting at home, just bored and stuff. And when you sit at home extremely bored, you tend to do stuff. Like I drew. That was my hobby as a kid, and that really helped me just out of my boredom that I had at home, and out of my kind of jealousy of other students as they constantly went to Disneyland. It kind of helped me create my own little fantasy world where I was able to imagine anything that I wanted to without any Mickey Mouses and such. But when you sit at home with a paper and a pencil, you really have nothing else to do other than draw. My parents really didn't care too much that I drew. Honestly, they just used to worry about the rent, this and stuff like that, which is understandable. A guy who really influenced me throughout my life was Dr. Seuss, Theodore Seuss Geisel. He was a very important figure to me because he pretty much helped me read throughout my life. He was one of the people that I first started reading. He had once said that fantasy is a necessary ingredient in life. It's a way of looking through the wrong end of a telescope. And fantasy was really, really, really important to me growing up because it helped me deal with a lot of things. My father was always constantly leaving our house, and when our father always left the house, I really got upset because I didn't really understand why this was happening because I was a little kid, and there's always that fear of which parent you'll have to stay with if they ever get divorced. There's always that kind of fear that you have in that kind of situation. But pretty much, this drawing and fantasy really did help me kind of just stay calm for a lot of my life. This changed in 2010 when my family had moved from Rancho Cucamonga to Fresno, California, which is up in Central California, and it really sucked up there. And we lived there for a horrid 2 years. It was really, really awful up there. My life really did change drastically, though. There was my school that I went to. A lot of people really didn't accept me. I didn't accept them. I didn't like the people there. They didn't like me. There was kind of like reciprocal in a way. But I felt a lot like an outcast. I started getting a lot more shy and a lot more kind of reserved, which still carries on today. But living there was a really, really awful experience, and the place like literally stunk really bad. But when I was living there, I really, really fell into a depression. There was nights where I was sleepless. I was wondering, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna, live through this? I always dreamed that someday I'd come back to Rancho Cucamonga and meet all my friends. There's always those kind of dreams that I had, but slowly they began to kind of fade away. Eventually, when I was in a period of isolation, absolutely, and when I was in isolation, I didn't have anyone to talk to, really, honestly. what I did was, as a way to keep myself entertained, I kind of created characters, which now that I look at it, kind of were essentially my imaginary friends. And these characters were, they're very awkward. They were very, quiet. They were very weird. They're complete weirdos, much like myself. And I really enjoyed these characters. Were pretty much helped me through thick and thin while I was in the city itself. A lot of teens nowadays especially, they turn to drugs, alcohol, suicide, cigarettes, a lot of other kind of factors to kind of express themselves because they feel depressed, they fall into some kind of anxiety. I obviously had art. Studies show that 20% of students don't know what they'll do after high school, don't know what they'll pursue in college because they have no talent or they feel that they can't really do anything at all. And I don't think I'm one of those 20%. I had art, and that kind of helped me through all of this. I had this element of nonsense, which kind of helped me constantly create things that didn't really exist at all. But yeah, there's a lot of, as human beings, we face a lot of challenges in life. We face a lot of challenges like loss of loved one, rent, bills, debt, broken relationships. There's a lot of factors that kind of get in that are inevitable as humans. But it's the way that you deal with these kind of pains. It's the way what you use to kind of lessen the pains. My art was a remedy to help me throughout all of the awful situation that I went through. Moving and all these parents, the rent and everything. That it really definitely helped me throughout all of it. And I definitely learned how important this was to me because when I moved back here eventually, I think it was about a year ago, I looked at the times I was there and I was like, wow, I was really, really miserable then. I was just in a period of just pure isolation. I don't know how I went through it, but I did. And I encourage pretty much everybody to, find your inner nonsense. And I encourage everybody to find your passion in life. And I definitely, you should never discard your imagination because visions are truly worth fighting for. Thank you.